Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Quiet quitting. Do you know what it is? Are you doing it? We're going to talk.
Are you doing it?
Leave it to Mr. Matthews. No matter what we're talking about, he will take it to the gutter.
Hope you're not doing it at work.
Now that could cause a problem.
Some of you are doing it at
that
work.
may not be so quiet. So this is a topic that people are talking about. Oh my God, I don't even have my mic on. Good Lord, what is going on here?
Get your life together.
What am I doing with my life? God, you were distracting me. We were talking about how I hit the mega Powerball. Lucky duck.
So we're talking about quiet quitting. We're going to talk about what that means, what it is. Does it work? Does it help you? Is it good for the workplace? Is it good for your career? Is it a smart move? We're going to discuss all of that. And first, we're going to start by defining what it is. We're going to have a working definition of what it is, right?
Yes, I am together now. I got my mic, got my words. And also, as you're coming in, please let us know where you're tuning in from. Put in your comments. What do you think about quiet quitting? Do you know what it is? Are you doing it? What do you think about it? And also, if you know anyone who may want to join in on this conversation, tag them, share this out, like, comment, and share.
HR professionals, people are HR professionals. This should be something you're talking about. You should be you should be writing articles about it, giving your opinion about it, and giving people advice in the workspace about this. So I want to start with a working definition of what we are referring to by quiet quitting.
So, well, I think actually you should do that because you came up with this topic. Okay, so there's actually it kind of depends, I guess. Apparently, it's depending on the person, what they think it is. But what it sounds like to me is basically somebody is doing the bare minimum at their job to just squeak under the radar to keep their job. They're not slacking off enough to get fired, but they're not going above and beyond to get promoted or to really be engaged. You're trying to cut me out of my own Instagram live. My God. So it's kind of instead of quitting, they're just kind of there. They're just doing enough to get by. Now, there's some people that will say, oh, no, that's not what I think it is. It just means not burning myself out and burning the candle at both ends and not staying late and working overtime, but not getting paid overtime. And so there's different viewpoints about what this quiet quitting thing is. And we'll tell you what our opinion is about it. But did I cover the definition or?
Yeah, I think a good working definition is somebody's they're not wanting to actually just quit the job and leave. They want, to me, this based on that understanding, I view it like a coward's approach. And I'll tell you why I say that. It's a coward's approach because they don't want to be working there anymore, but either the person is too lazy, too whatever, they don't want to actually just leave and go and find a different job. So they take the approach as, I'm just going to do the bare minimum. Now, if you're in a job where you're feeling stressed, you should talk to your employer about it. You could go and discuss with your employer and say, look, I'm doing X, Y, Z. I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of tasks I have. Is there any advice you can give me? Is there any different things I can do? Right. So you want to approach your employer. The worst thing you can do is to say, hey, I'm going to back off from doing this work. I'm just going to squeak by and I'm just going to try to get by under the radar. That's a recipe for failure. It might work for a couple of months when they don't notice you, but when they start looking at who's not performing, you're going to stand out, especially when other people start performing. So that's why I think it is a cowardly approach. And then we'll talk about what you should be doing instead, how to think about this. If you're feeling like you're overwhelmed at work or you have too much on your plate, it's fine to discuss those kinds of things with your employer and get a sense of where they are. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they're not aware of that.
So I think I like to look at things from different viewpoints. So one of the things, as we are employers, and I've had different jobs before. I've had jobs that I liked. I've had jobs that I didn't like. And there are good employers, there are bad employers. There are good employees, there are bad employees. And so I can see also that sometimes it can depend on the environment of the workplace.
Mhm.
And sometimes people may not feel like, oh, I could just quit my job and go find another job tomorrow. They may have kids, they may have responsibilities, they may have, all kinds of things that maybe they feel trapped in their job. Now, yes, you do. When you take a job, you accept the job, you accept the pay. And I do understand that sometimes there are not good in work environments, the
toxic environment.
Yeah, managers, coworkers, employers, they can be good or bad. And so sometimes somebody could go and try to communicate with their employer. Maybe they don't want to hear it. Maybe they don't respect, their employees. And so, but here's why it's still a lose-lose for both the company, the employer, the employee, because no matter what you do, if you're going to a place every single day and you feel like you're dying inside, or you don't feel fulfilled, or you don't like the work that you're doing, or you don't like the people that you're working with, if you feel like you can't leave that environment and go to another one, don't you think that you would at least increase and improve your situation if you went there every day with a good attitude, you did your best, and not only, even if you don't feel appreciated by your employer, you can feel appreciated by yourself. You can feel confident in yourself that you are doing your best. And then you can be actively, looking at how can I improve the situation in my environment here? Can I improve with my coworkers? Can I improve with my employer? Or do I need to look for an exit strategy? And same thing, and then with employers. And I think for the most part, all people want to do good. Employers, employees, all around. I think that everybody wants to be fulfilled and wants to do a good job. And then I've seen a change in the workplace, like since the pandemic happened, right? Everything shut down. Mm-hmm. Then people were being paid to stay home. Sometimes they were being paid more than they were making at their job. Then there started to be this shift of entitlement, of where people staying at home were like, well, I'm making more money staying at home. I'm not going to go back to work. You're going to have to pay me more. And then there started to be this more demand. And then there was like a lot of employees were like, well, then maybe I'll come back, but I'm just not going to do as much.
Yeah.
And so this gets to be a toxic, negative, lose-lose for everyone. And so you got to decide, like, do I want to stay where I am and do my best and make it work? Or do I want to get out and go somewhere else?
And look, the reality of all of this is you are in a planet where cycles will make things either more competitive for depending on where you are. So and the whole thing about when the government paid people more to stay home and now people ask for more wages, that's fine. People started getting paid higher wages. But then guess what happened? The price of everything went up. So the higher wages you made didn't actually make a difference over the long period of time. So what happens is you can't look at things as a whole. You have to look at your individual position and be like, okay, what financial position am I in? How do I better my financial position despite what's happening in the economy? And the only way that you can do that, we in our business, we use something called Hubbard management technology, right? It's great. It's a way to run an organization and make it flourish and prosper, make it successful, make sure that everybody there is ethical. We do stats in our business. Everybody has a statistic. Everybody knows where to stand, all of that, right? So somebody knows if they want to make more money, if they keep their stats up and help the company overall do well, they end up with making more money. And then we have a pathway in which people can start getting to be in management roles and senior roles and executive roles. The idea is the whole idea with how we run our business.
Hubbard, Hubbard, Hubbard Management.
Yeah, Hubbard Management. If you want information on that, send us a DM when the stream's done. We'll get you some info on it. So the reason why the way we set up our company is we don't always want to be the only people running the company. Eventually, we may want to go do other things. We have different variations of our business, different business activities we're doing. So eventually, you bring people in, you get them trained and up to speed, and the people who want to be leaders in the company to rise up. How do they rise up? They rise up by saying, I want to do more, not I want to just do the bare minimum. So as those people rise up, they get put into executive position. You're getting executive minded people. They get put into executive position, which allows the owners of the company to exit. Meaning you don't have to sell the company. You can exit and go do other things, start other businesses, while those people who rose up are now the ones running the company. So we built our business with that concept in mind. I understand that not everybody's building a business like that, but you should look, if you're the kind of person, you should look for growth opportunities within an organization to see if you're going to stay there or not. Because a lot of people want to move up, they want to make more money and all these different things, but there's not room in the organization for that. So you want to make sure you're looking for companies that do those kinds of different things. So you're not put in a position where you have to be like, oh, I got to just do the bare minimum to get by because I'm not getting rewarded.
Well, and I can tell you what's going to happen too is when, we talked about that wages increased, employers started paying more, then cost of everything went up. So then that not only affects you, it affects the employer too. The cost of doing business went up. The cost of everything went up. So guess what? The employer is going to start taking a closer look at the employees that they have hired and what they are paying them and see if, hey, do we need all of these employees here? Are they performing? Also, a lot of people started wanting to go virtual and not coming back to the office. And so that did a couple of things. It showed the employers, hey, we can operate without these employees. We can operate without these expenses. So you actually showed your employer how they can continue on without you. And then by making more and more demands, then it's like, well, does it make sense? Can we continue operating the business at this level with these expenses? Like even Facebook, companies are talking about not only they are doing freezing, they're not hiring, they're slowing down hiring. Before it was like everyone could not, hire fast enough. Now they're like, okay, let's take a pause. Let's see where this inflation recession is going. And let's look at who's here. What are they contributing to the company? Do we have the right people here? Facebook announced that they will start eliminating non-performing employees. And when Martin mentioned we use Hubbard Management, this allows us to run everything off statistics. It's not like if we like someone or don't like someone or they've been here a certain amount of time or whatever the case is.
What they look like
and
any of that.
And also, people can't hide. People cannot quiet quit here because we have stats and we look at them weekly, so we know the performance and the production of everyone. So companies that don't have these measurements, then they start to look around when, things are costing more and they need to cut expenses. They will start cutting positions. Mm-hmm. And then the people that get to stay are the ones who did not quiet quit, the ones who went above and beyond, the ones who have a good attitude, the ones that want to grow and help the company grow, not just look at what can I take from the company.
Yeah. And so look, it's going to be very easy to stand out if you're somebody who's ambitious, because on this planet, you need money. That's the reality of this planet. Money is not just this, that people say all kinds of weird things about it. Money won't buy happiness, blah, 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 all this crap they tell you. The reality is...
I feel happy when I spend money.
The reality is, she bought a new bag yesterday. The reality is, or I should say I bought her a new bag yesterday, right, sweetheart? So the reality is...
I do not think so.
The reality is...
my name is on that account too. Thank you.
Yes, her name is on the account. Mm-hmm. The reality is that on this planet, you need money, okay? And before
you pull out the card and swipe it.
I paid for it. The reality is you need money.
On our account.
It's not a debate.
You're right, because I'm right.
The reality is you need, let me finish my thought. The reality is you need money on this planet, and the way you get money is by producing. There's no free money from the government. It comes from somewhere. So if you're going to make it and you're going to succeed, you're going to understand that it's important to have money. And if you can't produce, or if you decide you're going to limit your production, somebody else will be willing to produce and outproduce you. And let me tell you something. Some of them are immigrants. They're desperately trying to come to this country. Just like me, I'm an immigrant. I moved here from West Africa. When I came here, you know what I was trying to do? Work, produce. I came here to produce and to work. That's what I came for. I didn't come to chill. I didn't come to go to nightclubs. I didn't come to go to strip clubs. I didn't come to go golfing, nothing. I came here to work and produce, right? And now the leisure, all that stuff's fine. But I came here to produce. And there are lots of people like me who are coming here. So when you say, I'm just going to take it easy, there's going to be some guy who just came to this country. He's like, oh, I'll take that job. I'll do that. And I'm not saying like work yourself to the bone. We have working hours here. We have set times, all this stuff. All of those things, we're very respectful of our staff that works here because they help to make the business successful. But at the same time, there's a certain amount of work ethic. If you don't have a certain amount of work ethic to go make things happen, you are putting yourself at risk. You're putting yourself at financial risk, because when you really need to work, you won't have built that muscle. You won't be able to push to get through because you're a coaster. And so think about that. And if you're a producer, right? If you're somebody who's like, I'm ambitious, I want to produce, I want to make these things happen. What you need to do, if the company you work for does not keep stats on your production, keep your own statistics.
Also, think about this. Sometimes, and in this article is that we looked at is from the Wall Street Journal, but there's a bunch of articles out there right now talking about this. And some people say, oh, I just didn't feel appreciated in my job, so I went out and I started my own deal. Like they quiet quitted, and they went below the radar, and they hated their job and hated their employer. But guess what? If you go start your own company, unless you're just going to be self-employed and work for yourself, if you ever want to grow your company and have employees, how do you think that that's going to work out? Do you think you're going to be like the one exception, the amazing boss? You're going to also have to deal with employees, and you're going to have to create an environment that they want to be in. And then it's interesting because we only look at things from our own viewpoint. So if you've never had employees and you've only been an employee, then you may only have the viewpoint from your experience. But then you become an employer, and you start seeing like the challenges and the responsibilities and the risks and all of the things it takes to run a business, to hire people, to train people, to put them in the right roles, and to create an environment, and then also be able to do all the tasks that you're probably still doing in the business. And then you start to see things a little bit differently. And then your taxes go up, and then this happens. And then you're like, oh, maybe now I got to see how I could save on my taxes, And so you start, just like when you become a parent, you didn't have that viewpoint. You only had the viewpoint of being a child and how unfair the parents are. And then you become a parent and you're like, oh, I see, right? And so it's important to step out of your shoes and be able to, for both employers and employees, and in any situation, to be able to look at, hey, what's the other side experiencing?
Yeah.
I like to try to look at everybody's viewpoint and see how can we create a win-win that everybody wins. It's a good exchange.
So look, and some of the things that we do in our business to encourage overall wellness of people, we have set times for people to work. We have a policy
24/7.
24/7. They do not work 24/7. We have a policy where people go and take a walk, right? So you have lunchtime, you have break time, and then you can go to take a walk. Which means a lot of times if people are doing things on a computer, they're sitting all for a period of time, people can just get up and go for a walk around here. There's trees all outside, there's things to look at. All of that, they can get up and just go and take a walk. They don't need to ask us or tell us where they're going. They just go and take a walk. So Now, of course, this is kept reasonable because if you hire reasonable people, you would keep somebody's not going to go start slacking. If you disappear for 30 minutes, and that's happening a lot, then we'll notice that. And so these are things that can be implemented. If you're a small business owner, you have employees, implement that. That little thing can help the person, one, feel better throughout their day. Maybe they just need to take a walk outside. Maybe they're working on something and it's like hard to get the thing to work, whatever it is. Or they're just they're looking at a screen. And so when they go and look away from the screen and looking at the environment and looking at different things, they actually end up feeling a lot better. So it's actually, it's a tool that you can use. And it's something we incorporate in our business. And it's very important. And on the things that I mentioned about statistics, if you keep your own statistics, you can show your production. You can show that, hey, I produced this much. I did this. These are the things I did. So that's why we keep stats. So everybody knows their production. Everybody knows where the company's at. All of that. So I personally believe that you put yourself at a disadvantage when you do the minimum in anything. If you go to lift weights, you're trying to build muscle. There needs to be enough resistance there. If you do the minimum, you're not going to build shit. You're just going to be going to the gym for years, and you're either going to still be fat or you're going to be too skinny. So what happened? I grew up, I was skinny, very skinny. I ran, I played soccer. Then I started to gain some weight. I'm like, no. And my thing I like to say to myself is nobody wants to see a fat businessman. I'm not saying it to anybody else. I'm just saying it to myself. Chelsea doesn't like that. But it's true. I find it to be true. I'm like, if I'm a fat businessman, people are not going to listen to me as well as if I'm fit, in shape, and I'm strong. Okay, so people will listen to you better. It's true. If you look at a really, really, really fat businessman, what are you thinking? Damn, that guy's fat. You're not thinking, oh, that guy has like really great business sense. Yeah, you might have great business sense, but you also look at them. Everybody does this, regardless if you admit it or not. I do not want to be a fat businessman because I think that represents that showcases do you have certain discipline. Now, some people have medical issues and all that. It's something I say to myself. I don't tend to say it out loud generally. Chelsea doesn't like me talking about that. But if
I recall several times.
if you are going to go do well in the marketplace, you got to also put yourself in the best position. Your health is part of your wealth. If you're not healthy and you get sick and you can't produce because you're sick, because you're dealing with all kinds of health issues, how are you going to go continue to build wealth? So in the workplace, you got to put yourself in a position to win and succeed. I think you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by doing the minimum. I think look at how you can do better and do more. And people will, and it will be very easy to stand out. If you take initiative and you do some of these things, it'll be very easy for you to stand out in the workplace, in the marketplace.
Yes. So there's a question. I have a question about inflation. Will it ever go down?
The reporting of it may go down, but look, what happens is, let me explain something. Whenever they inflate the money supply, they don't then deflate. They don't then go and pull that money out of the monetary supply. That new money is now existing in the system. So in order for inflation to technically go down, what happens is prices end up rising to the amount of new money that's there. Because you have more money chasing the same amount of goods. So now those goods need more money to buy them, or effectively the money becomes worth less because there's more of them now. And so what the government does is to continually print money, increase the monetary supply, and that impacts it. So what will happen is the way they will say inflation goes down is because it's not as high as it goes from the last year, meaning they didn't print as much new money effectively. So prices didn't go up as high as it was before. So I think it'll stay this way for a while. What the Federal Reserve is doing is increasing interest rates. When interest rates are higher, it discourages borrowing. So because people will borrow money to buy stuff, and then if there's more money available to buy stuff, the price of that tends to go higher and higher. Look at college, for example. People go to college, they could borrow a bunch of money for college, so college just kept charging higher and higher pricing. So college created their own price inflation on there because people could borrow a lot of money. So I think eventually it'll come down, but I think it'll be a little bit before you start to really see that impact of it.
So let us know what you think about quiet quitting, if you have experienced it, seen it, if you're doing it, and also what your viewpoint is. Like if you're an employer, an employee, an HR person, what do you think about this topic? So we would love to hear from you. Please like, comment, and share if you like this content. And also, if you want to get more from us, we have a free introductory course that you can check out and see what we teach. You can learn the 6 building blocks that make up your financial house and what you can do to strengthen each one of them. You can go to 6buildingblocks.com/intro, 6buildingblocks.com/intro. It's completely free. It takes 30 minutes. You'll increase your financial knowledge. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out, comment, DM, send a letter.
And then we'll see you guys next time. We're live Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time.